Hey folks, and welcome to this Starcraft 2 benchmark. Today we're going to be taking a look at the resolutions 1080p, 4K and 1440p. The graphic presets we're going to be taking a look at are low, medium, high, ultra and extreme, and we're going to be looking at the maximum FPS minimums and averages. Now in this benchmark we did a run of an Asus ROG 2020 tournament replay, and it was a full 20-minute game at the chosen settings, and I did 2 runs and then I averaged out the numbers. This took about 9 hours. Now run to run variance, and obviously part variance can occur, meaning some parts run a little bit better than others, and variance in the actual benchmark can occur, but this should give you a better understanding to make a decision on your purchase. Now, in the benchmark, the system we used was a Ryzen 9 5950X at stock, RTX 3080 Trinity OC at stock, 32GB of 3600 CL16 RAM at the default XMP profile, and it's on an air-cooled system. It's a Noctua NH-D15 inside a P500A case. Now, the actual benchmark results for 1080p. Low, we had 138 minimums, 748 maximums, average 369, 100, 521, 253. For medium, at high, we had 90, 460 and 223. At ultra, minimums of 83, maximums of 474, and averages of 212. And at the extreme settings, 84 minimums, 463 maximums, and coming in with an average of 216. So to basically wrap that up, because we went very fast, low is going to give you the super high frame rates. Jumping up from low to medium is going to be your biggest tanking of your frame rate. From medium to extreme, the figures are going to be very, very similar. Specifically from high to extreme, your minimums, maximums, and averages are going to be basically within variance, I would say. Yes, they're numbers, and there is a little difference in there, a little play, but basically your massive jumps are going to be going from low to medium in terms of frame rate gains or losses, and then high to extreme is going to be very, very minimal differences. Now, as we look at the 1080p loads temperatures, I'll give some thoughts. This is, again, hundreds of clips of footage here, and I've kind of had an analyze of how it's working. Now, the graphics card temperatures at 1080p were around 45°C. Typically, my card can get to 70°C when pushed, so really here it's not been pushed at all. The frame times were very, very smooth. It was a very smooth experience. The graphics card usage was around the 26 to 41%. There was one spike to 41%. This is again averaging on the 1080p loads, and the CPU usage was just a stable 8%. It's not been pushed at all, although gaming very rarely will just push a 5950X. However, clearly the CPU isn't been fully utilized. The actual cores, I have 16 cores and 32 threads. There's basically 2, maybe 4 cores been used. There's a few spikes here and there, but this is a 2 to 4 core threaded game. Speed is going to be the main priority. Now, extra cores is going to allow you to play with a bit more freedom. You can crank up those settings and you can stream on the processor at the same time. You can do other background tasks, but ultimately Starcraft 2 is never pushing this processor or setup to its limits at 1080p. Let's see if that changes in 1440p. So at 1440p, raising up that resolution actually gives you more frame rate, which is strange because obviously you would think lowering your settings means more frames, but actually lowering resolution on these modern cards basically means they're just not been utilized and can't give you that juice. So across the board, at low, everything went up. The only area that it didn't go up was medium, where the minimum and maximums remained roughly the same within a 1 to 2 FPS average, but the average frame rate went up. Now, from high, ultra, and extreme, again, everything went up across the board. Now, this is shown in the GPU utilization. Instead of chilling at like 20 to 40%, we now are seeing areas where we're going from 30% lowest to up to 84% usage, and the GPU is running at 60C. So clearly it's been used a lot more, and the CPU has gone down to 6%. So increasing your resolution across the board definitely gives you more frame rates. So if you wanted to play at the smoothest, most luxurious, competitive performance you can do on Starcraft until we try 4K. Let's see what happens there. At the moment, 1440p low is the very best you can get. You're going to be averaging basically 400 FPS. When you're at that sort of beginning farming phase, 800 FPS, 816, and your minimum, even in big battles, is going to be 154. So you're still going to be capping out those high refresh rate monitors. So definitely 1440p low, this is a superb choice for those high level players. I think with an average frame rate of 400, I might have a chance against Protoss now. We've made it to the final results, which is 4K, and yes, across the board, everything did go down, but that's kind of by the by, isn't it? When you actually look at the figures properly, again, there's a large jump from going from low to medium. Your frame rate is hurt. You're going from a maximum of 680 and an average of 330 to a 413 maximum and a 223 average. From then on, again, going from high to extreme, honestly, run-to-run variants, they all kind of perform similar. On extreme, the two runs, one did really well, one did less well. The maximum average worked out a little bit higher than ultra or extreme, so maybe you could cross that one out. They all perform roughly the same. And again, you're still averaging, even on the worst case scenario, 188 FPS on 4K, you know, extreme graphics. So it's a fantastic card, and it's a fantastic playing experience. Even dropping to 89 FPS with a huge Baneling explosion into a load of Marines and a command center dying. You know, even if there's a few storms thrown in there, you're playing a huge endgame army, you might go to 60. You know, that's 4K extreme, so you can always lower the settings down and you can have a much more palatable time. But yeah, this card absolutely blitzes StarCraft. And as we take a look at the GPU side of things and the CPU is still chilling at 8%. Obviously, its cores just aren't being utilized. And the GPU was averaging around 75C. I did have my fans running a bit lower, but basically the card was being used. At this point, it was running from 70% to 94%. It never did quite peak at like 99 or 100% usage, so it still had a little bit to go, but it was definitely been used way more. So if I was to recommend a setting for the total, you know, FPS snob, you would go 1440p low. If you want visuals, I would honestly recommend you could do 4K extreme and have a wonderful time. If you wanted to, you know, keep your frame rates up a little bit, 4K, and you know, it might be too much for you in 4K, then you can do 1440p extreme high, and you're gonna just absolutely blitz the game. So overall, I hope that helped you make a decision. This did take a long time, and I'm new to benchmarking, so hopefully this was good enough for you. If it did help you and you enjoyed it, leave a like and a comment. Basically, that's the only way to help the YouTube channel, is the algorithm lords like comments early and they like likes. So like and a comment goes a long way. Feeling extra generous, there's some links in the description how you can tip a coffee for the effort and work I've gone into. Or if you've got that Jeff Bezos, you can get that Twitch Prime out, or you can use YouTube Premium, which is a free 1-month subscription to my channel where you'll get access to members only videos and chats and stuff like that. So that's some ways to support me. If there's any other game marks, if there's any other games you would like benchmarking, do let me know in the comments, or tweet at me, or join my Discord, and I'll try get round to it. Hopefully that helped. This was Starcraft 2, a benchmark with an RTX 3080 and a Ryzen 9 5950X. On screen you might be seeing a couple of videos, maybe Cyberpunk, maybe Warzone takes your fancy. Have a look around, there might be something for you. Hopefully we'll see you on the next video.